today's show. This is a pro Kate Bush stream. The reason for that will be coming up later. Oh my god, my sleeve. Yogurt. Amazing. Yes, this is a pro Kate Bush stream. Today's show is a 3-paper show. Was going to be a magazine special, but the magazine I was going to review has I disappeared somewhere, so it's just going to be a 3-paper show today, and we'll do a magazine review on Monday, which gives you extra time to suggest magazines through sending a suggestion through the paper fund, which is up there, newspaper fund, which is up there. Right, let's get on to today's collection of terrifying media. Yes, as I say, 3-paper show. Sun, Times and Daily Mail. Sort of the classic cursed trio for today's show. The first paper we're going to look at is The Sun, which eschews news on the front page instead to send a bizarre letter to the England football team. Hello, Julie Prunes. How are you doing? I'm sure the Scottish and Irish editions of The Sun will be quite different, but I haven't checked those covers. The only other thing on the front page of The Sun today is some propaganda about the Dauphin, wee Wilfred Johnson, and how he has been used as a prop during the G7. Yes, Chili Prunes, the triumvirate of terrible newspapers today. Hi, Bad Motivator, or should I say valued subscriber Bad Motivator. Hello, Farage's Face, how you doing? I say we'll be done in under an hour today, as it's only a 3-paper show, so there won't be a speed run. Cool. Alright, let's get started with The Sun. Front page of The Sun. Hey, Slinkamai, how you doing? Front page of The Sun. An absolutely cringe-worthy letter to the England football team, which I will now inflict on you in full. Dear lads, a wise old sage once quipped, this is Bill Shankly, they could have just said Bill Shankly, football isn't a matter of life and death, it's much more important than that. In this year of years, we know that's not true. The toughest battles have been fought not by those in 3 Lions white, but in green medical scrubs and blue nurses' tunics. Yeah, and you'll be back attacking the NHS soon as you like, writers of The Sun. A melodrama that is... football is just a game, but it's our game, and now it's coming home again. Jesus Christ. A melodrama that has given us gilded 66. When will we ever give up going on about that? Never is the answer. Gazza's tears in 90. Again, 96's dentist chair, and which, by the way, The Sun was absolutely slagging the team off for at the time. Pickford's 2018 shootout save. Now it's our summer 2021. It's your turn to unite the Rainbow Nation of ours. As if The Sun is pro-Rainbow Nation. Each of you is already a winner. Fewer than 1,300 men in history have ever won a cherished England cap. There will be pitfalls along the way, but 56 million of us are with you. Really? We'll be there as you kick every ball. We'll have your back when things go wrong. No, you won't. You're The Sun. In return, you can give this football-mad nation hope, unity, and perhaps some joy. This is not the time for boos, only cheers. Oh, there we go. There we go. Many years from now, let us look back fondly and say, whatever 2021 threw at us, threw at the world, the summer brought out the best in us. Yeah, Red Tixie, get ready for that coming up in the Times, the Kate Bush Bowie bit. I don't know. Normally I don't do the Times too, but we've got Times today. Times today? We've got time in and the Times. Inside on page 3, that isn't page 3, but is page 3, Tamara Francesconi, who is apparently the partner of Ed Westwick, is a model, and she's shown wearing a bikini. So there you go. Fever Twitch, Tibet bird in UK. Twitchers hired boats to take them to an island after a rare bird flew 4,000 miles to spend summer in Britain for the first time. Why is the bird? They take ages to get to the point of what the bird is. Oh, so the revered sulphur-bellied warbler, which is like such a black metal name for a bird. Anyway, there is the sulphur... Sorry, that is not the sulphur-bellied warbler. There is the sulphur-bellied warbler. Pages 4 and 5. Three Lions fans ready to roar on Harry's boys. Flags up in streets, pubs, and even sheds. Yes, we Kane is the headline. Boris Johnson writes a thing for The Sun about it, and they picture him in a 1966 style red strip because we live in a cursed island. On page 5, 1 million deaths alert, but lock delayed. They're getting reporting on Matt Hancock's unconvincing testimony to the parliamentary committees. Exclusive Crown crisis. Ginger dies cast. Shortage of redheads to play young Harry. Crown producers are struggling to find a boy to play the young Prince Harry as there is a shortage of ginger-haired actors. Imagine this. They might dye their hair. Imagine. Jesus. Yeah, typically, yes, Julie Prune's there with insert great tits pun. Given that they put that story on page 3, I suspect they were aiming for that. On pages 8 and 9, some propaganda about a baby. Cornish besties. Joe, a breath of fresh air, says PM. President, wives out of our league, Boris. It just all has very heavy North Korean vibes, doesn't it? On page 11, shock news as Helena Christensen is revealed to be still attractive. On page 10, Rachel D'Souza, the Children's Commissioner, writes that porn is warping how boys treat girls. Big tech must do more to keep our kids safe. You're writing this in The Sun. A paper that warps people's perceptions of women constantly. Just look at the spread. On one side, oh, porn, very bad, very bad. On the other side, let's leer over a woman in a bathing suit. The contradiction. On the bottom of page 11, pop star nicked over lover row. A major pop star has been held on suspicion of assaulting a girlfriend, writes Mike Sullivan. Can't name who it is, of course, but they'll heavily imply. Ali Ross is awful. He claims the BAFTAs are too woke. Jesus Christ. Talking about objectification of women and giving men the wrong sense and impression of women. Here is a selection of various girlfriends of football players who are playing in the European Championships, with The Sun rating them. So, but it's big tech and porn that's the problem. That's where all the misogyny in society comes from, and you'd be a fool to say otherwise. On page 16, Ladbrokes cashier in £1 million racing bet sting. A crooked cashier stung Ladbrokes to £1 million in just 3 hours by recording botched betting slips as winners, a court heard. I'm on the side of that woman. Screw the gambling companies. Fuck them. Former British and European boxing champion Kirkland Lang has died aged 66 after falling on hard times, they say. Horrible story. Super Sun Day, 30 degrees to start a heat wave on Sunday. On pages 18 and 19, Jeremy Clarkson says we should all go green. Jesus Christ. On page 21, Katie Price has blasted a Twitter troll as a coward after he was cleared of sharing a racist video of her disabled son. Philip Lure admitted uploading the vile clip mocking Harvey as it was mildly amusing. Yesterday, a judge agreed that he shared the video as a joke and not to offend. You see, normally, the son, if this was someone else, the Sun would do a thing about how this is appalling, that this guy's free speech, whatever. They love to play it both ways. Slinker Maya, I've been listening to an audiobook about Peter Sutcliffe's Victims a moment, and it's especially infuriating as issues with misogyny in the press are all still fucking happening. Yeah, exactly. On page 23, is that a Shocker Spaniel? It's a cute picture of a dog. On page 22, Amanda Holden went out walking and the dress showed her legs, so we get a whole news story about that. On page 27, Kate Garraway said Piers Morgan was like Winston Churchill in the way he helped her deal with her husband's battle with COVID. Okay. On page 29, Jen's turned all J yellow. Jennifer Lopez wore a yellow outfit. Literally, that's the story. Bottom of that page, OAP's card used to buy crisps 17 minutes after death. COVID vulture. A healthcare assistant on a COVID ward used an elderly patient's bank card to buy crisps 17 minutes after she died of the virus. Ayesha Basharat was caught on camera making six £1 purchases from a hospital vending machine with the 83-year-old's card. She later made another £1 payment and tried to make 2 more 4 days later, but the card had been cancelled and she was arrested at Birmingham's Heartlands Hospital. Basharat of the city initially claimed she found the card on the floor and got it muddled up with her own, but a court heard they were different colours and Basharat ignored lost property protocol. She admitted theft and fraud by false representation. What an odd thing to do. Sun is run by a bunch of creeps, says Red Tick Seed. Agreed. Page 31. There's going to be a version of Barbie that is made from plastic that was otherwise made from recycled plastic. Grand. Bentley have made a balance bike. It's £450. And has diamond quilted handlebars. What? Why though? Why though? Telly Chef on his lockdown struggles and how he beat them. That's Tom Kerridge. He said, I shut the pub, furloughed the staff, sold the Porsche, and worried we never open again, but at last we're back. Jolly good. I mean, he's been working with Marcus Rashford on affordable recipes and stuff, so he's broadly a good thing. I wish he wasn't doing interviews with The Sun, though. In tonight's TV recommendations, Crouchy's Year Late Euros Live, BBC One. Peter Crouch, Maya Jama, and Alex Horn host this 10-part take on Save Our Summer with guest chat, games and silliness. All right, thank you. Inside the Balmoral, another episode of the documentary about the Scottish hotel. Euro 2020 Turkey kicks off with Turkey versus Italy on BBC One tonight at 7 p.m. Greg Wallace's Big Weekend Away is on at Channel 5 at 8 p.m. I can think of a million things I'd rather watch than that. In Dear Deirdre's casebook ends with Abby's love betrayal. No, continue. It'll finish tomorrow, but basically, Bruce's Abby is cheating with Kerry's boyfriend Bruce. There we go. Studying fangirl, diamonds aren't expensive, even expensive if they're lab grown. Yeah. Staycation swimsuits are being presented in Fab Daily. Patrick Grant, the tailor, says, guys, don't fall short in shorts. Apparently, you've got to wear them above the knee. You can wear them for work. Yeah, no shit. You should wear plain trousers. You've got to keep it simple. Don't wear socks and sandals. Yeah. Don't go too loose or too tight. Yeah, fair enough. And avoid big buckled belts. Well, I wear my shorts with a replica of the WWE World Championship belt. So that's told me. Hey, ACM Tex, how you doing? Red Tick Seed says, fuck off, I wear what I like. Yep, fair enough. More like really actually empowering fashion coverage, which actually conceals body shaming. You've got best for bingo wings, best for bum coverage, best for bigger boobs, and best for tummy control. Like, fuck off. Today's £50 letter comes from Helen Rowland, who says, Noel Gallagher put into words how most of us feel regarding Prince Harry. Everyone had a little bit of Harry in their hearts, desperately wanting happiness for him. He was fun, he was normal, and we loved him. But his recent disclosures feel like a huge slap in the face, not only for the royal family, but to the general public. We now see an unsmiling, ungrateful Harry lecturing us. Oh, fuck off. There's more Noel Gallagher interview in the paper today. He says, I have 13 people in my band, it costs a lot. Oasis were best when Liam was at his peak. Ed Sheeran did me a great fucking turn, and most Oasis fans like what I do now, some hate it. Wow, thrilling stuff there. The Sun there, yeah, exactly, with how many swimsuit-clad women can we shove into the paper. Their film of the week is The Father, featuring Anthony Hopkins, which he won an Oscar for. Hey, SK, how you doing? Coins. Coins, 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 coins. The official Elvis Presley King of Rock and Roll coin. Free, £2.50 postage and packing. My lord, it's horrendous. They describe it as, they say, widely regarded as one of the most significant cultural icons of the 20th century, Elvis Presley revolutionized the music industry. Now you can get this brand new commemorative coin as an everlasting tribute to the man whose music has graced generation after generation. Devs, coins?
No coins.
Okay. Do they do a crypto version, says ACM Tix? I wouldn't put it past them. They're trying to sell you a telescope. They say for looking at the birds. I say probably for spying on and reporting your neighbours to the police, based on the general behaviour of Sun readers. Farage's face, when I go mad, I'm going to buy all the coins and put them in a pile in my coin room like a shit Scrooge McDuck. Nice. And on the back page, sport, it's on Jadon Sancho. Manchester United expect to announce the transfer of Jadon Sancho after the Euros. United are locked in negotiations with Borussia Dortmund and have agreed personal terms with the England winger worth £350,000 a week over 5 years. There you go. Give me your scores for the Sun. For me, it's a quadruple negative nice. Minus 69, 69, 69, 69. Mogshed, hate that there is never how to look like you have unusual or commonly disliked physical feature, but good, only how to minimize. Yeah. Slinkermeyer in with a quintuple negative nice. Red Tick Seed says I should get the Elvis coin for person in the room.
No coins.
She's unhappy.
No coins.
She's unhappy about that notion.
The coins.
ACM Tech says those scopes are always cheap Chinese knockoffs. I bought a few. Red Tick Seed rates the Sun minus all the Elvis coins that person in the room wants.
Negative coins.
Negative coins. Right, so that is the Sun. Now we move on to the Times, where there will be some warning. There is some absolutely shit level, beyond shit level cultural criticism that we will be taking a look at. So, starting off, Times front page. Here we go. Jose Mourinho, Henry Winter, and Matt Dickinson with your Euros coverage. There's a picture of Boris Johnson and Carrie Johnson's son, Winston. Never see his face, though, do we? On the front page. PM ponders 4-week delay before end of curb. Stephen Swinford once again floating possible lines sent to him by the government. And Macron to block new British Brexit talks. On page 3, they've gone mad over a story about two twins, one of whom was having an affair with her twin sister's brother. It would be Jeremy Kyle, but they're very rich. ACM text, have you covered the Innova scandal with the lateral flow test date? If not, that may be tomorrow. Well, we haven't yet, because we've only been through the Sun, and I don't think they bothered to cover that, but it may be in the Times. On the bottom of page 3, swearing relieves feelings. That is what swearing does. I explained this to my aunt on one occasion, but it didn't answer with her. She said I had no business to have such feelings, Jerome wrote in the Idle Thoughts of an Idle Fellow. Now, senior lecturer in psychology at Keele University says that swearing could help people cope with pain, make them sound authentic, and be more persuasive, and even provide a strength boost. This is according to a study by the British Board of Film Classification, which has found that nearly half of young people use strong language every day. BBFC has compiled a list of swear words that are acceptable to use in 15-plus films. A four-letter word used in frustration was seen as more acceptable than one used as a weapon, the BBFC said. Seems reasonable, and there's lots of... As Farage's face says, we already knew that. As Sankamaya says, we already knew that. There are many studies already on this stuff. In fact, we have a friend who studies swearing generally, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does.
Yes. Rebecca Roach. Dr. Rebecca Roach. She's excellent studier of swearing. On page 4, crackdown on adults pretending to be child refugees. The number of, I would suspect that the number of adults that actually do this is very small. But we don't get the raw figures. Home Office figures show that 55% of asylum seekers who have claimed to be children over the last 5 years have proved to be over 18. I'm dubious about those Home Office figures, how they were combined, and how they were compiled. Last year, 61% of the 598 age disputes were found to be adults. Examples of adults posing as minors, including a balding man in his 40s who was placed in a school. This is very dubious reporting, and it's here to fuel the Home Office's continuing bullshit, misrepresentation of it. It's horrible. As Red Tickseed says, let the asylum seekers in, you bastards. On page 5, Charles gets the wobbles on a charity bike ride. Who cares? I wish Harry the best and Meghan the best of luck, says Prince Edward's, presumably just to remind people he still exists. There's massive coverage of the boycott of Oriel College by academics over their refusal to take down the Rhodes statue. When we get to the Daily Mail, you'll see that the Daily Mail is actually doxing and naming and shaming various academics, as you would expect the Mail would do. On pages 6 and 7, Johnson plays down Northern Ireland rift after Biden talks. PM raises Harry Dunn at first meeting. Yeah, he'll have said the name, but he hasn't really pushed on that in any way. PM promises to send millions of surplus jabs to the world's poor. I just don't believe him. There's coverage of the Brewdog letter. Heavy criticism of James Watt, the co-founder of Brewdog, a company that most people have known for years has got dubious practices at best. On pages 12 and 13, regrets I should have overruled the scientists, Hancock tells MPs. Fuck off. Quentin Letts is awful and his sketch is awful. Brewdog are a nasty company. There's awful coverage of the Maya Forstater stuff on page 15, as you would expect. Balenciaga have made Crocs, which are a £700 stiletto version of Crocs. I mean, we live in the most cursed timeline. A pensioner has chased after thieves who tried to steal his model trains. The police are seeking the trains that were stolen. Vegan spider silk will offer a green alternative to plastic. Apparently, scientists have created a vegan spider silk made from plants that has the potential to replace many single-use plastics and is easily biodegradable. Great news if it works. 1 in 8 terror arrests are children. More dodgy Home Office statistics. I'd be very suspicious of that. Equal parenting leave for all at John Lewis. John Lewis will become the biggest company in the country to offer equal paid parental leave to its employees. Worker-owned company, which just has more than 80,000 staff, is the first UK retailer to introduce a measure. It said it was doing so after employees what would make the biggest difference to them. That seems like a good story. The woman who was attacked by a crocodile and saved by her twin sister is now out of a coma. That's a good news story. Afterlife at the Dorfman Theatre at the National Theatre is said to be a compelling vision of the Anteroom to Eternity that runs till August 7th. James Forsyth, who, as we know, is married to a government employee, Allegra Stratton, and whose best friend is the Chancellor, Rishi Sunak, writes, the protocol is broken, 3 ways to fix it. An EU-UK slanging match is threatening Northern Ireland with crisis, but solutions exist for trading with the province. Assume that everything that is written there is basically dripped straight in his ear by the government. Emma Duncan says the left can't accept that people like their jobs. There's little evidence for the fashionable idea that work is a source of oppression, not pride. Oh, fuck off. And she mischaracterizes David Graeber's work in this column. It's really quite horrendous. Robert, just fucking crap. Here's a bit that particularly drove me crazy in Anna Murphy's notebook. She's a fashion director. She's sitting in for Anne Trenneman, who is away. She writes, as the final little cheeky rejoinder to this notebook, yesterday I saw 2 security guards at my local Waitrose catch a shoplifter. They pulled out of his rucksack 2 bottles of red wine, surely not the weather for it, and half a dozen cans of gin and tonic. It's always booze or meat, apparently. Then he waited to have his bag returned to him, which it was. He nonchalantly exited. The police wouldn't be interested, the guards told me resignedly once he had gone, and a store-issued banning notice never works either. He and his bag would be back. Fuck off. Do you know why it's usually booze and meat? Because meat can be sold easily by people who are in desperate circumstances, and booze because people who are suffering with addiction issues and out in the street try to get booze for themselves. This woman shows no empathy. It's just, oh, look at this. This was very inconvenient when I was in Waitrose. Fuck off. Justin Webb is writing in the Times, absolutely right-wing adjacent talking points about illegal migrants. Webb, who does this in the Mail, the Times, and Unheard frequently, seems to be completely allowed to show his political opinions constantly. But as we know, impartiality at the BBC is not about impartiality. It's about ensuring that no one at the BBC has left-wing views. Having right-wing views is basically classed as fine and perfectly impartial enough. In the birthdays today, Dame Beryl Gray, prima ballerina and president of the English National Ballet, artistic director of the London Festival Ballet until 1979, is 94. Sir Geoffrey Adams, UK ambassador to Egypt and the Netherlands until 2017, is 64. Jean Alesi, the racing driver, winner of the 1995 Formula 1 Canadian Grand Prix, is 57. Tony Alcock, the bowls player and chief executive of Bowls England until 2020, world outdoor singles champion until 1996, is 66. Diana Armfield, figurative painter, is 101. Lord Stephen Bassam of Brighton, shadow chief whip, House of Lords, until 2018, is 68. Richard Bean, the playwright, known for One Man and Two Governors, is 65. Danny Cotton, the firefighter, commissioner of the London Fire Brigade until 2019, is 52. Caroline Criado Perez, the writer and campaigner, Invisible Women, exposing data bias in the world designed for men, is 37. Lauren Cuthbertson, principal dancer of the Royal Ballet, is 37. Trevor Hemmings, businessman, triple Grand National winning owner, is 86. Bob Houghton, president of the British Cycling Federation, is 66. Ola Kalanius, the chairman of Daimler AG and Mercedes-Benz AG, is 52. Sheila Burf is 35. Hugh Laurie is 62. Air Marshal Sir Kevin Leeson, the chairman of RAF Charitable Trust until 2020, is 65. Diana Moran, Keep Fit expert, aka the Green Goddess, is 82. Jenny Pittman, the racehorse trainer, first woman to train a Grand National winner, is 75. Sir Timothy Sainsbury, businessman and politician, Conservative MP for Hove until 1997, Trade and Industry Minister until 1994, is 89. Sir Jackie Stewart, the racing driver, Formula 1 champion in 69, 71 and 73, is 82. Andy Street, the Mayor of the West Midlands Combined Authority, former Managing Director of John Lewis, is 58. Kate Vara, the Executive Director of the Old Vic Theatre, is 45. On this day in 1509, Henry the Eighth married Catherine of Aragon, his brother Arthur's widow. In 1979, the Oscar-winning actor John Wayne died. The last word comes from the poet Mary Oliver, who wrote, "You can have the other words, chance, luck, coincidence, serendipity. I'll take grace. I don't know what it is exactly." Yes, it's always been like that at the BBC. I agree with you, Red Tixie. Gaddafi's son wants to run for president of Libya. The Pentagon plans to bomb the Taliban if Kabul is attacked. Polynesians beat world to Antarctica by 1,000 years. Are they not part of the world? Woman wakes after 10 months in coma to discover she's a mother. This is an Italian woman who had a heart attack and slipped into a coma 10 months ago. She's woken up to learn that she is the mother of a baby girl. She had a cesarean section to save her baby after a heart attack last July when she was 7 months pregnant. After waking from her coma, her first word was mama. ACM Tech, speak to my father-in-law and he thinks the BBC is full of woke lefties. Yes, it's a common misconception about the BBC. Do you have the Times too?
Oh, yes, I do.
Thank you. You don't normally do it, but today we are. Okay, in the Times 2, front page of the Times 2, Jim Morrison, his unseen poems. Guess what? They're really fucking awful. But Caitlin Moran does their celebrity watch, same as usual. But as a sidebar to the Jim Morrison thing about his poems, which are they're teenage poems that have been dragged up. They're not great. James Marriott, the deputy books editor and apparently poetry critic of the Times, reviews various people's lyrics. I'm not going to read all of them, but I just want to read you what he says about David Bowie, Kate Bush, and Bob Dylan. So David Bowie, reflecting on Life on Mars, the lyrics, it's on America's tortured brow that Mickey Mouse has grown up a cow and other workers have struck for fame because Lennon's on sale again. James Marriott writes, these lines have always vaguely irritated me. The cod surreal posturing is like nothing you'd get in Bob Dylan, which is presumably where Bowie is aiming here. America's tortured brow is a bit moody adolescent notebook, as is the anti-consumerist stuff about workers striking for fame and Lennon going on sale. Right. This is a guy in his 20s, right? And he doesn't get the references in this Bowie song for a start. Secondly, it's always a weird thing when people do this with lyrics. Removing lyrics from their context within songs is really stupid, because a lot of lyrics are most powerful because of the way they're in the intonation and the line reading and everything in combination with music. All right. So anyway, that's what he says about Bowie, right? And he goes on to say, "Scary Monsters and Super Creeps" is a mixed effort from Bowie. But the bit that really drove me crazy was his reflections on Kate Bush's "Running Up That Hill." By the way, if you want to know the meaning of "Running Up That Hill" by Kate Bush, it's very easy to Google it and find a quote in which she fully goes through what she was writing about. But for the literalist here, this is a literary editor and poetry critic apparently. This is what he says. Kate Bush is a good lyricist, but not a great one. Fuck off. This is one of her better lyrics, if only because the line about running up that hill has achieved a sort of iconic status. But the suspicion remains that ultimately it functions more as a slogan than as real poetry. It has always reminded me of Nike's Just Do It. After all, what does running up a hill really signify? This kind of vagueness is a convenient escape for lyricists who don't know exactly what they want to say or how to say it. As someone said to me on Twitter earlier, this is Garth Marenghi's "I know authors, writers who use subtext and they're cowards," like made into an article. Like, yeah, Chronotherm, I know literary critics who understand metaphor and they're all cowards. If you are incapable of looking up the meaning of running up that hill or understanding that it is metaphorical, then you're really struggling. Farage's face says Bowie, Dylan, Bush never wrote a lyric as good as "and her pussy tastes like Skittles," like Little Xan did. Well, I mean, there's no arguing with that, is there? And finally, this is James Marriott on "Subterranean Homesick Blues." You know, a classic song, which is a mischief and wordplay and what's the matter?
The Windows guys cancelled for.
You kidding? What a twat. Subterranean Homesick Blues. Don't steal, don't lift. 20 years of schooling and they put you on the day shift. Right? That's the lyric he chooses. Quote. Not his best. The observation that one's education might be pointless and lead only to a manual job is hardly original. What redeems the lines is the staccato rhythm and the satisfying, eminently spittable, plosive sounds of all the T's and D's. Of course, Dylan being lazy is still better than almost anyone else trying. Red Tixie, exactly. It's cinema sins for music. Pernickety, context-removing fuckery. Chris McRae, what does running up the hill mean? I don't know. Ask Grand Old Duke of York, fucking idiot. Yeah, anyway, he does the same. He picks at Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen and So Long, Marianne, as well as Cloudbursting and Kendrick Lamar, who he says He tends to fail the old creative writing rule of show, don't tell. Kendrick Lamar just... I mean, you know, Kendrick Lamar doesn't need to worry about being criticised by James Marriott, but nonetheless. On page 6, Richard Morrison in the arts column says, Andrew Lloyd Webber is right, our theatres must reopen fully. Fine. The review of The Father with Anthony Hopkins gets 5 stars. Classic film of the week is Fargo. Kevin Maher didn't like Nobody, which is from the makers of John Wick. I think it looks fun. Garbage's new album gets 3 stars. Bertrand Burgolas' Reve Capital gets 4 stars. King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard's new album, Butterfly 3000, which is excellent, gets 5 stars. Studying Fangirl says Hallelujah is a Jewish masterpiece, hands off. Agreed. And there's more James Marriott to enjoy on page 10, as he says, as he gives Day X, the latest New Yorker podcast, 3 stars, and Social Science Bites 4 stars. His review of the New York Times podcast is particularly annoying. He says, because it's about neo-Nazis in the German military, and he writes, story's convoluted, and because German politics is unfamiliar, the choice of potential targets somewhat hard to comprehend. The plan to assassinate the head of something called the Amadeo Antonio Foundation doesn't mean much to British listeners, and to this uninformed foreign observer, the prospect of far-right madman overthrowing the government of Germany does seem a tad unlikely. I'm not completely convinced that the story illuminated a wider theme either. Do far-right extremists offer the key to a nation's soul? Aren't Nazi nutters sometimes just Nazi nutters? What possible things could it... Why could it possibly be worth thinking about the rise again of the far right within Germany? What possible historical issues could be thrown up by that? Hard to say. Certainly impossible to Google it. Right. In the TV review, Carol Midgley gave Statue Wars 4 out of 10 and Billion Pound Bond Street 4 out of 5. Sorry, 4 out of 5. Both got 4 out of 5. Crototherm, not paying attention to the stream, now listening to Kate Bush, angry at some fucking millennial. Yeah, I think actually is he Generation Z, arguably? In the register, the obituary, the main obituary goes to Edward de Bono, the world-renowned philosopher, doctor, and all-round polymath, who wrote scores of books and came up with the term lateral thinking. He has died aged 88. Also in the obituaries, Kathleen MacLeod, WAF radar operator who witnessed D-Day from a screen and then helped to detect the Nazis' V-2 rocket launch sites, and Walter Schneiderman, acclaimed British makeup artist who spent 7 hours each day transforming the actor John Hurt into the Elephant Man. They try and sell you vacuum cleaners, a share in a racehorse, outdoor dining stuff, and on the back page, England call on experts over heat fear, sweltering conditions for Croatia opener, 45,000 fans at Wembley after group stages, United £17 million side for Sancho, Manchester United have had a £60 million bid for Jadon Sancho, rejected by Borussia Dortmund, the Times understands, and VAR lines set to be thicker. The Premier League will introduce thicker lines for VAR reviews of offside decisions next season in an effort to make marginal calls less contentious. That is the Times. For me, just for that review of the lyrics alone, I am giving it the first ever octuple negative nice, minus 69, 69, 69, 69, 69, 69, 69, 69. And finally, we come to the Daily Mail. Give me your scores for the Times, and I will do the roll call. I expect... I know that SK should be streaming tonight, so I'm sure he will tell you what stream he's going to do. I believe he did go to university at 18. He went to Oxford or Cambridge, can't remember which. Cambridge, I think, unfortunately. Right, in the roll call today, I am the Broken Bottle Boy. You can follow me on Twitter at Broken Bottle Boy. I enjoy it if you do. Also, find me other places. In the mod squad is SK the Crusader, who, as I say, should have a stream for you later. ACM Tix has joined us today. Thank you for that. Another TT viewer. Good to see you. Aiton, Bad Motivator, the valued subscriber, the silent but much appreciated Carbot14XYZ. Chris McRae is here. Thanks for joining us. Commander Root, Discord for small streamers, Discord for streamers. Farage's Face, contributing excellently in chat. Feet is here. Ged Station is here. Industrial Pets here. Chronotherm, not Coronatherm. Thank you, Chronotherm, for being here. Lady Baskers, always good to see you. Mogshed, thanks for your contributions. Albert Calmu, thanks for being here. Red Tixie, the excellent Red Tixie. The ever fantastic Slinker Maya. Some incredibly good photography. I say it a lot, but actually there's even more great shots up on her Instagram. Do check it out. Studying Fangirl, coming to us from Israel. Surplus is here. Torms, The Royal Flush, Tomosa, V&K, the Fishmeister General, Yuan, and Zautar. Always good to see you as well. SK is on tonight from 6 p.m. with the Politburo in the Kaiserreich. Chronotherm gives the times minus 47.33. The running time of Hounds of Love, an album James Marriott hasn't heard and couldn't understand. Red Tick Seed rates it minus running up that hill to throw James Marriott in the bin. And Yuan says Cloudbursting is particularly incredible song. Right, here we go. The Daily Mail is our final paper for the day's front page is pure propaganda for Boris Johnson. Oh baby, what a lovin'. Picture of Wilfred there, face facing away from the camera, something that they have obviously agreed with Boris Johnson's people, but which is not a condition that is not applied to most other famous people's children. On pages 2 and 3, Joe Biden said that both he and Boris Johnson had married above their stations. Carrie Simons did that laugh that posh women do. Here is an absolutely cursed page of the Mail. Baby Bojo, the beach blondie, already making the ladies laugh. Perhaps one day he will grow up to have sex with many other people's wives and cheat on his own wife. Who knows? Who knows? Hard to say. On pages 4 and 5, an alliance reborn, more propaganda. On page 6, sea shanties and a barbecue on the beach, diplomacy Cornish style. On page 7, they look in at the inside of Tregenia Castle Resort, where the leaders are staying. On page 9, Richard Littlejohn is fucking awful, with the headline, Mr. President, tell the EU to stop playing silly sausages. On pages 10 and 11, fears of 4-week freedom delay. On pages 12 and 13, they managed to freeze frame Hancock to get some excellent, embarrassing shots of him. Yeah, that photo feels very North Korean, as Slinkermeyer says, the one on the front page. More coverage of Prince Charles riding on his bicycle. Who cares? Of course, they cover the Maya Forstater case in the way you would expect the Mail would do. On pages 16 and 17, they name and shame various academics over the Oriel thing. And the awful, execrable, terrible Dominic Sambrook writes, pompous, posturing narcissism, and it's blackmail. Well, he would know a lot about pomposity, posturing, and narcissism, wouldn't he? Fuck me. On pages 18 and 19, victims are younger, fewer go to hospital, stays there are shorter, deaths will be far lower. It's now a nasty bug like flu. Why we can be free on June 21st, says Professor of Risk Management at Bristol University, Philip Thomas. Tom Utley argues in his column today, under the headline, it's the sacred duty of the young to wind up old fogies like me. I just wish they didn't get a vote with it too. He's pro the smoking age going up to 21, if the voting age does too. Of course, it's just a trolling act, but he's still a piece of shit. On page 23, ex-BBC bosses face grilling over Bashir. MPs have summoned Lord Hall and Lord Burt to appear before Parliamentary Committee next week to discuss what happened. That'll be grandstanding by Tory MPs. On this day, June 11th, 2021, from the Daily Mail archive on June the 11th, 1983, Mrs. Thatcher, re-elected in a triumph with an overall majority of 144, took out her carving knife yesterday and began trimming the cabinet to shape. Knives are out too in the defeated Labour Party, whose leader Michael Foot was expected to quit by the autumn. The Prime Minister denied being a butcher, but emphasised, "I have had to learn to carve the joint." June 11, 1993, Les Dawson, one of Britain's most popular comedians, collapsed and died yesterday while visiting hospital with his wife. Staff at the Bupa Hospital in Manchester, where his wife was having a blood check, fought vainly to revive the 62-year-old star after he had a heart attack. Last year, he became father for the 4th time when his wife Tracy gave birth to a daughter, Charlotte. Happy birthday to Diane Morgan, the Green Goddess, and to Peter Dinklage. Tyrion Lannister in Game of Thrones, amongst other things. Born on this day, Jeanette Rankin, 1880. The first politician from Montana was the politician from Montana was the first woman elected to the U.S. Congress. Rankin introduced the first bill to grant women citizenship independent of their husbands. At 87, the pacifists marched on Washington to oppose the Vietnam War. John Constable was born on this day in 1776. And on June 11th, 1872, stocks were used in England for the last time in Newbury, Berkshire. In 1978, John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John went to number 1 with You're the One That I Want from the film Grease. The quote of the day comes from Edmund Burke, who said, "Our patience will achieve more than our force." Is that right? And the joke of the day is, "I used to be addicted to soap, but I'm clean now." And of course, the Mail covers the so-called crackdown on migrants who pose as children. Priti Patel is apparently setting up a specialist unit to carry out expert assessments of would-be asylum seekers who claim to be under 18. Remember, of course, many asylum seekers come obviously without identity documents. Some of them not really even clear on their birthday. This stuff is distorted, dark propaganda from the Home Office. All designed to make the population suspicious and against immigrants and refugees, and it's sick. On page 28 and 29, I heard the girl shout "crocodile, crocodile," then saw the blood and teeth marks. Really grim coverage of that woman who was saved by her sister from a crocodile. In Jan Noir's column, she says, "Are you thinking what she's thinking? No, we are not. Of course she writes about the Oxford students. Of course she writes about the crocodile thing. She attacks Emily Ratajkowski for her parenting skills over this photo where the baby's head is to one side. As person in the room says, this baby is of an age where it can hold up its own head. Who the fuck is... Yeah, and who the fuck is Jan Noir to judge this woman on her parenting? Absolute bullshit. On page 33, more stuff on Helena Christensen, a very attractive woman still being attractive. England is set to eliminate the spread of HIV by 2030 is the claim. Well, we can only hope. Sam Cam's brother says, "I've quit making rich people richer." Is that right? There's a whole double-page spread puff piece for GB News, written by Mick Hume of Spiked. It is everything you would expect and includes calling the BBC News the Ministry of Truth. GB News launches on Sunday. You can expect me to do some stuff around it. On page 39, the ridiculously named Adrian Thrills reviews 3 albums. Marina, formerly Marina and the Diamonds, gets a 4-star review. Maroon 5 get 3 stars, and Garbage get 3 stars. Their book of the week is Field Work: What Land Does to People and What People Do to Land by Bella Bathurst. Today's recommended TV, Match of the Day Live, UEFA Euro 2020. In the cartoons, Garfield and his girlfriend are chatting. In Chloe and Co., Chloe and a man are drinking and talking about their relationship. And in Fred Bassett, Fred is watching other people doing a lot of activities and he doesn't really fancy it. In the straight-to-the-point letters, Colin Warburton writes, "How far-sighted was Yes Minister episode about defending British sausages?" Well, there have been previous trade wars, Colin. V. Hefter well known on this the Daily Mail letters page, writes, "Seems the richest man on earth wants to be the richest man in space." Leslie Godley says, "If England footballers want to demonstrate respect, they should all learn the words to the national anthem and sing it with pride." Do they not? I've seen them sing it many times. Chris Burrows says, "Won't be long before the only person allowed to play for cricket is Chris Wokes." Various other topics covered, including including e-scooters. But here is today's worst letter, and it comes from Ian Hadkiss of Buckinghamshire. "I'm doing a PhD in woke at the University of Intolerance. When I asked my tutor how I could prosper and become more tolerant, he suggested I should cancel anyone I disagree with, so I am doing a separate course in vocabulary transition so I may further understand the woke dictionary. I am encouraged to become more obnoxious, offensive and generally less educated so I may fulfil my potential. My thesis will concentrate on cancelling Magdalen College, Oxford and its students." God. And today's poems, here are the terrible poems. Ready for these? Going to enjoy this person in the room. Nursery rhyme for our time. Little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet when along came a dejected canine. "Have you seen Ma and Pa? They went off in a car," was the first thing the doggy did whine. "Who are you?" she replied. "I'm not being unkind, but I don't know your Ma and Pa either." "Well, my name is Dylan, and sometimes I'm a villain," the worried pooch started to blather. "I'm scared they've run off because they've now had enough of the way I keep playing them up. You see, Boris, my dad, sometimes gets really mad. He's been like it since I was a pup." Miss Muffet looked glazed as she sat there amazed. "Are you telling me you are that pet that Boris Johnson obtained but never quite trained to fit in with the number 10 set? Well, it happens, I know, that he wouldn't just go and abandon you, and nor would Carrie, so don't get the needle. They are both at the cathedral, making good their decision to marry." And also in the Poetry Corner today, a limerick from Bethan in Swansea. I won't do this in a Welsh accent, but she writes, "To welcome world leaders and wives, a new hostess to brighten their lives, serving pasties, of course, from an organic source, and a plat du jour fresh from St Ives." No is the answer to that. Today's recipe is barbecued corn on the cob. Hardly a recipe, is it? They're trying to get you to go on a cruise. They're trying to get you to go to a retirement place. They're trying to sell you a hedge trimmer. In the motoring pages, they look at Coventry's year as City of Culture. They're celebrating its time as a motoring capital of Britain. Eamon and what's her face? What's her name? What's Eamon Holmes' wife called?
Ruth.
Yeah, Eamon and Ruth are still trying to sell the vibrating pad. Selfridge is up for sale, sold $4 billion. They want you to go to a cruise to Venice. And in the sport, the Euros are here. Tonight's the big kickoff. England share £12 million bonus if they win. Three Lions goes on FA's official playlist. That is the Daily Mail. It's a quadruple negative nice for me. Red Tick Seed says the poems are fucking awful. Glazed Muffet indeed. Slinkermeyer hates everything. V Hefter is dreary and uninspired, says Yuan. Mogshed was listening to a Leftover podcast on the Spike Lot just for joining here. Recommended. Big fan of Leftover podcast, not just the episode I was on. And Chronotherm says the limerick wasn't bad, but didn't threaten a funny word like penis as the final word, so 0.1 rating. Limerick, not lyrics. Farage's face says only good limerick is the one about the man from Nantucket. Yes. So that was today's show. Thank you for joining me for the final show of the day. Red Tick Seed gives the Daily Mail a quadruple negative nice. And yeah, so thank you for joining me. As ever, do remember that you can join us on Discord, where good things happen, like Studying Fangirl, sharing cool fan art. and us talking about awful news stories we see. Here is the link for that if you want to join it. Hope you all have a really good weekend. Do consider chucking some coins into the newspaper fund. It helps me keep paying for the materials that we use on the show. And if you put in the note when you make a contribution what magazine you want me to feature in the magazine special, next magazine special, I'll do that. And of course, if you're not subscribed to the newsletter, consider doing that. brokenbottleboy.substack.com. You can subscribe for free, and then if you'd like it, upgrading to a paid subscription obviously helps me do what I do. See you all on Monday at 1. When are we traveling? When are we traveling on Monday?
I don't know. I can't remember. In the morning.
Oh, okay. I may see you next week for shows. I may not. It depends. But if I don't, I'll find another way to do a version of the show as we've got to go to Bristol. All right, everyone. Have a good one. Thank you very much, ATM Ticks. Really appreciate you you joining us and your contributions. So see you all next week in some form, possibly for the normal show, possibly for some other version of it. Cheers all.